Chris Stanley's my name. I'm from Splinter Society Architecture, and I'm here to present our project, the Auburn Apartments. It's a smallish apartment building, 13 apartments. Our client came to us, it's in Hawthorn, and our client came to us because his business model or bread and butter has been apartments for the downsizing eastern suburbs market for a long time. So he's been rolling these out for nearly 20 years, I suppose. And he wanted to do something different. He's got a product, but he wanted to create something a little bit different, a little bit more interesting for his market now. So he came to us, and pretty simple brief. He said, this is our clientele. We want to maximise the site, typical developer, every square metre we can, every full envelope height. I want something that's got a bit of grandeur, a bit of presence, a bit of a sense of permanence, but a little bit different to all the other ones that we do. That was his father-in-law's car that was in the garage on photo shoot day, so we got him to pull that one out. So this is the site here, single residence that was demolished. And it's in Hawthorn, so it's got some beautiful heritage buildings, so pretty significant ones. Victorian buildings here, row of terraces here, over here. It's a bit of an eclectic mix, so beautiful old, stately homes and a couple of apartment blocks. So it's a bit of an eclectic, but it's got all the bells and whistles that a lot of Hawthorn has. So how do we produce something a little bit different and unique for this market? First of all, we looked at him. He's an old school builder. He's quite useful with his hands. He loves camping. He gets out in the bush a lot on his motorbike, and he loves the bush. He's a very opera Australian kind of guy. And so we sort of explored that with him a little bit and said, well, how do we bring a natural sense to the Hawthorn apartment? How do we connect it to the earth, connect it to the nature, connect it to the elements? One of the things that struck us about the site, it's the leafy trees of Hawthorn. They're plain trees, but they go those beautiful colours. And this site picks up the western sun that comes across the city. It's on the hill, and it gets this golden glow in the afternoons. And so we really love that sort of euphoric quality. So we've started putting together a material palette that involved these kind of rugged, large bits of stone. They're all, he's got his own steel fabrication yard. He's very inventive, has a lot of toys and tools. So we came up with this idea of using the discarded edges of slabs that are pulled out of quarry stone. They cut 4 metre large cubes, cut the rugged edges off, discard those, and then cut it up into tiles. So we said, well, we'll take all those discarded edges and see if we can clad this building in those. Our client bought a whole lot of old spotted gum breech timbers, which we sawed down to create a lot of the timber throughout the building. So a lot of recycled timber, a lot of mixture between rough stones and revealing the edges of this quarried stone, and used that to create this sense of permanence, this sense of kind of monumentality through the building. And also used a lot of steel. He had the steel yard, so we could play around with 10, 12, 15, 20 mil plate steel and use the textures and the colours and the patinas. And he did all his own folding, so we used a bit of brass and bronze as well because he wanted it to have that sense of quality and sophistication, and also the way these materials weather. The way the building weathered was really important. So this is a streetscape view, south elevation, and you can see the afternoon light sort of picks up and sort of erodes the mass of the building. There's a lot of depth, a lot of reveal, a lot of texture, and that's how it sort of sits in the street, so it doesn't read as one sort of block. I talked about the heritage buildings, so again, this is the corner office. There's a lot of these sort of traditional late 1800s buildings, so we wanted our building to feel similar in mass, feel more like a 2-storey building, pick up on the fenestration, the rhythm, classic kind of proportions that a lot of Hawthorn buildings and these individual homes have. So we sort of had this screen system that runs along the facade and breaks down the massing of the building. We used the stone to embed the building on the site and be buried in the garden, and then the upper levels float above it, and kind of reads a bit more like a 2-storey building. You can see the facade, that's the western facade there, so it's got these mesh screens of bronze and then the brass cladding that picks up and reflects that kind of golden light in the afternoon and gives it a real depth and a sense of privacy. So there's the street. So I talked about those trees. It's heavily treed. This is the building here. It sort of sits in behind all those swamp gums and plane trees. We wanted the entry to have a sense of permanence and grandeur, but not be ostentatious. So again, it's almost like entering a chasm. There's a 9-metre void up to a skylight of just these rough rock walls that you enter inside. And all the bedrooms and living spaces look out, they're almost in the tree foliage, so they're really kind of in the canopy. Plan's very simple, I won't spend long on them. It's a typical corner multi-res building, basement car parks, ground floor of apartments that all utilise and connect to the lower level garden spaces, partially sunken in to bury the building a little bit. 13 apartments in total, I think I said. I'll zoom in on one of the apartments in a minute. Second, and that's the top level there. Top level's got some big apartments. The people who bought this one combined 2 apartments into one, so that's a whopper. But and that's how they all stack up to form the building as a whole. When we're looking at one of the apartments, critical was with this market, you've got downsizers. We wanted to create apartments that still had all the quality of individual houses they come from. So we wanted large master suites, but then bedrooms for kids, grandkids, spots for pets, lots of storage, fireplaces in the rooms. You can see these kind of semi-private sunken courtyards. All the rooms flow out to outdoor spaces and garden. Internally, the natural materials carry through, but they're a bit more refined, a bit more polished, because again, a lot of these, his clientele want a more sophisticated interior, not a rough, rugged, kind of earthy feel. So you get that connection to the outside of the building, and you get the kind of split-face stones, but they're a little bit more polished and refined, and I suppose a sense of sophistication. Little studies. There's little reading rooms as well. A lot of those classic Hawthorn larger home kind of qualities, and you can see there the way the building sits within the trees. We used a slightly reflective glass, so it bounces back. It kind of erodes the mass of the building. South-facing building, as I said. So we pushed all the roof. It's got, you can't see it in here, but it's a sawtooth roof at the top, so you're getting lots of north light into all those apartments. Some of them achieved over 8 stars. I think we had 8.1 and 8.3 stars for the top ones. The average was about 6.9, so they're quite sustainable. And it's quite elaborate, not as expensive as it looks, this building, because like I said, he's got his own steel fabrication plant. The stone was all discarded product. He invented a little machine to lift it and fix it. So effectively, it's sort of a tricked up with a lot of beautiful textures and nice materials into what's otherwise just a full development site that maximises its envelope. And I think that's it. Thank you.